In 2023, 78% of Americans lived paycheck to paycheck every month. Now, I'm not completely debt-free as I still have some student loans, but over the past few years, I've managed to save and invest well over 6 figures by following a simple 5-step process every time that I get paid. And that's exactly what I'll be showing you in today's video. Step 1, use the self-monitoring technique to find your starting point. In psychology, there's a concept called self-monitoring, which refers to a person's ability to track their own habits and behaviors. Now, when it comes to your personal finance, your ability to self-monitor will have a massive impact on your overall success. The reason is simple. People who self-monitor are much more aware of how much money is coming into their account, how much money is going out, and then what's left at the end of the month. In reality, this is budgeting, which is the foundation of personal finance. To start budgeting, you first need to know how much money is coming into your account. To do that, I want you to grab your favorite drink and sit down with a pen and paper or your laptop, whatever you prefer, then write down the exact amount of money that comes into your accounts each month after taxes. This is your income. Next, go through the last 3 months of your bank and credit card statements, making notes of all your expenses. The reason I want to track your expenses for 3 months instead of just 1 month is that your expenses can change each month. So this approach provides a more accurate amount based on a broader data set. Then I want you to divide them into 2 categories, essential and non-essential. Essential includes everything you need to survive, like rent, gas, groceries, student loans, and car payments. Non-essential covers things that help you thrive but aren't necessary to survive, like Netflix and Spotify subscriptions, shopping, entertainment, or dining out. Now, take the total sum of your essential expenses and then divide it by your after-tax income and then multiply it by 100. This gives you the percentage of your income spent on essentials. Your goal is to have this under 50%. If it's over, you'll need to strategize on how to bring this down, whether that means meal prepping to bring your food-related costs down, or even downsizing or relocating. Next, take the sum of your non-essential expenses and divide that by your after-tax income and multiply it by 100. Ideally, this percentage should be under 30%. If it is, that's great. If not, then look for ways to try and lower these costs. You can make a game out of it to find creative ways without compromising your enjoyment. Finally, take your income and subtract both your surviving and thriving expenses. Ideally, what should be left is at least 20% of your income or more. If you followed each step, you should aim to end with a 50-30-20 split. That's 50% for essential expenses, 30% for non-essential expenses, and then 20% for your savings. For example, if Warren Buffett Jr. has an after-tax income of $65,520, he would earn $5,377 per month. Therefore, he would need to keep his essential expenses to or under $2,688 and his non-essential expenses to or below $1,613 to follow a 50-30-20 split and save $1,075 a month. Now, it's also worth mentioning that this will vary depending on your personal situation. For instance, if you're living at home with your parents, your survival expenses will be much lower than someone that's living on their own in a high-cost area like New York City or Los Angeles. But this is a solid rule of thumb to start with. So at this point, you've laid the foundation for your personal finances and you're using the self-monitoring technique to improve them. You could stop here and instantly become better with your money. But I don't want you to just be better. I want you to be the best you can be. And in order to do that, you'll need to follow these next 4 steps. Step 2 is create a rainy day fund with the 3-tier goal technique. When it comes to personal finances, a lot of people assume that the only thing that they should focus on is their debt. While this is a good start, there's another key piece that's often overlooked, and that's your rainy day fund. A rainy day fund is a bank account with enough money to cover emergencies like losing your job or even having your car break down. But it isn't always clear on how large that this fund should be. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what it should be and how to fund it as quickly as possible with the 3-tiered goal technique. First, return to the original document that you created with your essential and non-essential expenses. Then calculate the total of your essential expenses needed to survive. Your first goal should be to put at least 1 month's worth of essential expenses into a rainy day fund. If you're following the 50-30-20 split, this should take about 2.5 months. And with this fund, you're fully prepared for 1 month in case you lose your job or you face any minor issues in your personal life. Now, going back to Warren Buffett Jr. from earlier, he would need his rainy day fund to have at least $2,688. Based on his savings rate of $1,075 a month, it would take him 2.5 months to reach this goal. To do this faster, you can pick up extra hours at work or take on a side hustle like Uber Eats, reselling, or even selling items that you no longer need. Once you reach your target amount of 1 month of essential expenses, your next goal will be to accumulate at least 3 months worth. For Warren Buffett Jr., this would total $8,064, and following the 50-30-20 split, this will likely take another 5 months. Finally, after achieving this, you'll want to save an additional 3 months worth of essential expenses, bringing that total to 6 months. This will take another 7.5 months. Now, it is recommended to save 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. So this isn't a hard rule and it will vary depending on your personal situation. By doing this, you'll be prepared for anything that life throws at you. But more importantly, you'll be ready to tackle the most challenging yet fulfilling part of your personal finance journey, and that's eliminating debt. Part 3, destroy your debt with the 2 winter techniques. Credit cards are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they offer numerous benefits. On the other hand, they can lead to impulse spending and easy debt accumulation. According to data from the Federal Reserve Bank, the average American carries $8,674 in credit card debt. Now, let's assume that this $8,674 comes with an average interest rate of 24%. The banks and credit card companies are content when you're only making those minimum payments, having you think as long as you're not late with those payments, then there's nothing really to worry about. But what many people forget is just how much extra interest you'll be paying over time. For example, if you owe $8,674 and you pay $200 a month, which is just over the standard rate of 2% for your balance for a minimum payment, it would take you about 103 months to pay off that balance, which is 8.5 years. Not only that, but you would have also paid an additional $11,500 in interest, and in total, that $8,600 loan would end up costing you a little over $20,000. And did I mention that countless studies have found that debt, especially financial strain, contributes to issues like depression and anxiety? It's simply not worth it. However, I understand that tackling debt can be overwhelming, so here are 2 techniques for managing it. First, write down all your debts from smallest to largest on a separate piece of paper or in a document on your laptop or phone. Assign each debt a name and then list the total amount next to it and include the interest rate that you're charged. The first technique is called the snowball method, and it involves focusing on the debt with the smallest total amount first. It's a great way to start because paying a smaller debt can motivate you to tackle the larger one. This concept is known in psychology as the snowball effect, which is where the name comes from. So once you eliminate your first smallest debt, you move on to the next smallest amount and you repeat the cycle until you clear your remaining debt. The second technique is called the avalanche method. This method bypasses the total amount and focuses on the debt with the highest interest rate first. While it may not provide the same motivational boost as the snowball method, it does help you save the most money by tackling the debt that's costing you the most. For this technique, just pick the debt with the highest interest rate first, then focus on paying that off, and then move on to the debt with the next highest interest rate. And I have another video that you can check out after where I go into more detail on these concepts that I'll link in the description below. Paying off debt is one of the hardest parts of your personal finance journey, but just starting can alleviate a lot of pressure and it'll become addictive over time as you see those debts decrease. Keep in mind, when I talk about debt, I'm referring to high interest debt from things like personal loans and credit cards, not a mortgage. And once you've tackled your debts, you'll be ready for the most enjoyable part of personal finance, and that's investing. Step 4, start utilizing the triad investment strategy. Now, you might think that investing should come before debt elimination since you can earn money on your investment. However, investing is not 100% guaranteed while eliminating debt is. For example, investing $1,000 into an index fund might yield a 10% return over a year, which would be $100, whereas a credit card with a 24% interest rate and a $1,000 balance will cost you roughly $240 during that same year because of the interest accrued. But as you know, investing has much broader implications. So I'm going to give you the 3 ways that you should invest your money right now. First, you want to start by investing in your 401k and take advantage of employer 401k matching. A 401k is a company-sponsored retirement account where employees like yourself contribute a percentage of their income. This type of retirement account is pre-tax, meaning you won't pay any tax on the money that you invest, as well as what grows in that account, and you won't owe any money on these funds until the time that you withdraw after the age of 59 and a half. Most of the time, a company will match your contribution up to a certain amount of your income. Some may match 1%, others may go up to 6%, or even as high as 10% or more. However, it's important to note that companies are not legally required to match your contributions. So if you're job seeking, always make sure to ask about their 401k policies and how much that they're willing to match, if they match at all. Let's say you find an employer that offers a dollar-for-dollar match up to 6% of your income. That means that if you earn $50,000 a year and contribute 6% of your income, which is $3,000, the company will also match you with an additional $3,000 in your 401k. However, if the contribution matching is capped at 6% and you decide to contribute 10%, which totals to $5,000, the company will still be only contributing $3,000. This means that they won't be matching anything beyond that 6% cap. At the minimum, I suggest investing up to whatever your employer is willing to match. It's essentially free money on the table. So once you've done that, next you want to try and max out your Roth IRA, which is another type of retirement account, which if you don't have one, you should really look into opening one. With the Roth IRA, you contribute to it with after-tax dollars. And unlike the 401k, your withdrawals once you hit the age of 59 and a half and you've had the account open for at least 5 years will be tax-free. That's the superpower of having this account. Keep in mind for 2024, the max you could contribute per year is up to $7,000 into this account if you're under 50 years old and up to $8,000 if you're over 50. By this point, you'd be investing up to whatever that your employer is willing to match of your income into your 401k and then maxing out that $7,000 to $8,000 into your Roth IRA every year. From here, you can choose whether or not to max out the remainder of your 401k before moving on to this next account. But either way, that means you're now ready for the third account in this triad, and that's the taxable brokerage account. A brokerage account is simply an investment account that allows you to invest in assets like stocks, bonds, index funds, and one of my favorites, ETFs or exchange traded funds, which are essentially a collection or a basket of investments that offer you exposure to a variety of securities, asset classes, and sectors. Brokerage accounts don't come with tax advantages, but the fact that they do give you more flexibility with accessing funds, no limitations, and no penalties for withdrawals make them a great place to invest your money. Also to remember, if you decide to sell in this account, you will be taxed on the profits of your sale or on dividends paid. Now that you've established a foundation with the self-monitoring technique, created a rainy day fund with a 3-tiered goal system, utilize the snowball or avalanche method to eliminate your debt, and employ the triad investment strategy to grow your wealth, you're now paving your way towards financial success. However, you can always reach your goal faster through lifestyle optimization. Step 5, become a millionaire faster with lifestyle optimization. Life optimization involves taking everything that I've mentioned and refining your life to reach your goals more efficiently. To keep things simple, here's a list of everything that I do regularly to optimize my finances and lifestyle. First is automate the payment of your essential bills and the money that you plan to save by having it automatically transferred to the relevant accounts. Many banks offer this service, and by automating things, it helps you avoid forgetting about the essential bills and misjudging how much money you may actually have. Second, check your bank account at least every few days. Treat it like your baby or whatever resonates with you. Just don't go too long without checking your balances and reviewing your spending habits. The more activity you have, the more often you should keep an eye on it. Third, every week go through your expenses and identify costs that could have been avoided. Notice you keep buying snacks and drinks when you're out and about. The key here is to spot patterns that lead to excessive spending. Fourth, if you can handle it and you aren't prone to impulse spending, consider optimizing credit card rewards to earn cash back on your spending or to earn points to help cover your travels. Fifth, aim to build multiple streams of income. Ideally, you should have employment income from your job, and then other supporting income, whether that's from real estate, a business or side hustle, or even dividend income from your investments. Finally, find a balance between work and life. Yes, buying a daily coffee from Starbucks may not be optimal for your finances, but if you genuinely enjoy that morning cup, don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Life is too short to optimize on everything, but it's long enough that you should still prepare for the future by watching videos like mine. So make sure to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.